Hello, Internet. Man, it has been a while, and I really sucked at, it's like I did 4 or 5 of these things, and then just nothing after that. And a big part of that was because I was super busy, but I don't know if that's necessarily a good excuse. But first off, before we talk about all the stuff that's gone on between the last vlog and this one, let's do the coffee thing real quick. This mug that I'm holding is from a company called Creative Sheep. Particularly, I listened to their podcast. It's now called the Leader Sheep Podcast. It's really cool. My friend Roman Johnson is one of the guys who run this company, and they're awesome. If you're a leader, if you're a pastor, whatever it is, they have some really good stuff. They talk to some amazing people that they have connections to. The coffee that I'm drinking is actually from Evocation Roasters in Amarillo, Texas. If you live in Amarillo or Lubbock or Canyon or one of those areas, I would definitely suggest you go check them out. They have a shop at 34th and something. I don't know, I don't live there. I lived there for 7 years, but I was a kid, so I don't really pay attention. Anyways, it's in Amarillo. They're a really good shop. This particular coffee is called the Annie Ruth. It is from El Salvador, and it is probably one of the best washed processed coffees I've ever had. If you don't know what a washed processed coffee is, and it has to do with the way that you pick it off the tree and then you process it, because the coffee bean is really just the seed of the coffee cherry, and so it's actually a fruit that they have to strip off the fruit and the skin, and they have to separate the seed, and there are several different ways to do that, and that's called the way that you process it. If you want to know more about that, let me know in the comments, and I'll hit on it next time. But this is probably one of my favorite washed coffees I've ever had, and I'm not huge on washed coffees. I think I kind of like more of a sharper, fruitier taste, but this is extremely good, very complex, but not overpowering like some washed coffees can get. Anyways, check it out, Evocation. They have a website. Go to the website. If you're in Amarillo or Canyon or Lubbock or anywhere in West Texas, just check it out, drive over there, and definitely one of the best in the country. Anyways, what the heck have I been doing for the past 3-4 weeks maybe? It's been like a month and a half since the last one. Crazy. We were in Colorado, we went to Hawaii, we went to Tulsa several times. We were in Portland for a day, spent the night in the airport there. We spent probably 3 or 4 hours trying to figure out how to rent a car to get back from Dallas to Lubbock. So a quick tip, if you're trying to fly somewhere overseas, and that includes Hawaii, it is worth it to spend the extra money and get a flight that goes out of your hometown, so you don't have to rent a car to get to a different town and then rent another car to get back, because you will have been traveling for a little while and you're not going to want to deal with people, you're not going to want to spend extra money, but inevitably you're going to have to do all those things. It's definitely worth the cash. Anyways, so yeah, we went to Colorado. We went up there with our friend Sarah. We spent 3 or 4 days kind of just hanging out and finding different places. We went rock climbing. We went up the Manitou Springs, not the incline because it's closed down for maintenance currently, but there's a trail next to it. We went up that instead, and we got near the top. It was the peak was closed off because they were doing some maintenance on the incline, but it was fun. We got to see some nature. We hung out in Colorado Springs for a little while, found some great coffee, great restaurants and places to hang out. Then obviously we went to Tulsa several times. I filmed a couple of weddings. Mandy was taking pictures at some weddings. During one of the weekends we went to Tulsa, I was actually DJing a wedding here in Lubbock, and I DJ'd another wedding in Tulsa the next day, which is something, I was a wedding DJ for probably 3 or 4 years for a company in Tulsa. So all that to say, I may or may not be in the market for DJing weddings in West Texas. I don't know. Give me a call. And then the big trip, the crazy adventure, we went to Hawaii. It was a fun week. And I mean, it was work for sure. We went there to film a wedding. We filmed it on the very first day that we were there. It was on the northern side of, we were on the northern side of Oahu. You know, the waves were crazy. I got to bring the drone out and fly it around. The weather was It was perfect. It was nice and foggy, so it looked real epic and crazy. And I will post a link to the wedding video in the description of this thing so you can see it if you want. Probably at the end of this video, I'll post a couple more shots from it. It was great. It was an adventure. I really enjoyed it. And that just goes to show you that I learned something really important on that trip. And that was really that whenever you're kind of a self-starter, whenever you're trying to create a name for yourself, or you're trying to do something and make that something be your livelihood. Really putting effort into that thing and being honest with yourself and realizing that you're going to have to work hard, it really pays off. And the crazy thing is, at the beginning, it does not pay off at all. At the beginning, it feels like you're just spinning your wheels and you're just really trying and no one seems to give a crap about what you're doing. But eventually, there's going to come a moment where you're standing in front of this mountain of work and you don't really know if you can handle it. And you know that the only way that you're going to come out on the other side of that without just quitting altogether is you got to buckle down and work as hard as you can. Then eventually people are going to notice that. And then the more people notice that, the more opportunities I'm going to have to make the stuff that I think is great in the way that I want to make it. And that just kind of compounds and snowballs until eventually you have no choice but to get better, and you have no choice but to research things and to start saving money for better gear and better cameras and lenses and all that kind of stuff. And then it's not quite so much of this huge mountain of how the crap am I going to make good videos ever when I don't have any money. And then it becomes, okay, you can kind of plan ahead and you can figure out when you're going to get the money to afford this and that and this and that, which brings me to something that I'm kind of excited to talk about. And that is a couple things that I bought around Black Friday. I know that Christmas isn't here yet, but we went ahead and bought ourselves some Christmas presents. Let me show you. All right, so one of the first things that I bought around Black Friday was this prism. A friend of mine I noticed was doing photography with a glass prism. Get you a closer look at this. Like, literally, it's just a glass prism. It wasn't specifically made for photography or anything like that. It's just nice, it's pretty, it's smooth, it reflects stuff. And basically, the idea is you put this kind of in front of your lens while you're taking some pictures, and it might create some interesting like reflections and some light flare type of effects. I haven't tried it out yet, but I'm excited to play with it and to see what all I can make happen and kind of incorporate that into my style of photography. And, you know, little things like this can kind of help make things more fun. You have tools whenever you're shooting. It's enjoyable. Second thing that I bought was another piece of glass, and it is just a glass sphere. I don't know why I bought this. I bought this probably 4 or 5 months ago, and it just came in like last week. You can kind of put the ball in front of it, and it provides like this interesting reflective surface kind of to make some of your landscape shots more interesting. I don't know if I could use this for video at all, but it's a cool thing to play with. And then the big one. Oh, I am the most excited about this one, obviously. Check this out. That's right, I got myself a Mavic Pro. This, if you don't know, is one of the coolest drones ever made so far. Casey Neistat calls it the best drone ever. This is the whole thing, the Mavic Pro. It's super small and it folds out like that, you see? It's got these little legs and whatnot, and the controller looks just like this. You fold it open like this, little antennas come out, and then it's got a little, it's got like a little plug right there. Plug your phone in like this, and your phone sits right there as the screen for it underneath. It makes a lot of noises, it's really loud. But I don't know if you guys have noticed on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, I've been basically spamming my Instagram account with drone footage, and it's because I've been so excited about this thing. It goes super fast, it shoots in 4K, it has a beautiful camera, the dynamic range is insane. You can be shooting like super harsh lighting conditions and it's still just beautiful stuff. I'm probably gonna go take it out after I shoot this video, and that's probably the footage that you just saw just a second ago before I brought it out. So I was flying it the other day, and I ran it into a tree, and so it landed in the tree or whatever, and it kind of sat there for a little while. And it took me a while to get it down, but once it dropped down, it hit the floor, and this little leg piece kind of broke a little bit, And I mean, it's fine. It still works the way it needs to work, but it's just like this piece specifically right here, I've seen on YouTube and different things. This is the most fragile part besides the camera and the gimbal, which thankfully, completely undamaged. This is kind of the most susceptible piece to damage from falling or hitting something or whatever, and it's just kind of sucks because everything else is so well made, and it just took a fall from maybe 6 feet out of a tree to break this little thing, and now it's all wonky and wobbly like that. I don't know. That's like literally the only complaint that I have for it is just the leg broke when I crashed it into a tree. So if your complaint is how bad it breaks when you suck at flying it, then it's probably a pretty good drone. Anyways, I know you guys have been waiting for it. Let's talk about some cool stuff. First cool thing I want to talk about is, I feel like this is pretty obvious, but it's a movie called The Room. Now, if you are one of the few people that have not heard of this movie called The Room, it came out in around 2003. It was produced, directed, and starring a man named Tommy Wiseau, who is one of the most interesting people I have ever heard of, to be completely honest. The Room is widely regarded as maybe the worst movie ever. And I mean that in a very, very good way. It's been called the Citizen Kane of bad movies. Quick disclaimer, there is some nudity in this movie, so you'll know when it's coming, and whenever it does come, just, smash the fast forward button. I'm not gonna, but this particular movie is one that is worth just fast forwarding through that kind of stuff because it's so interesting, and there's something about it that is successful, that gets you and that makes you want to keep watching for some reason. If you're not already familiar with all this stuff, just read it up online, figure it out, because it's very interesting. Next cool thing I want to talk about is this video I found on YouTube called The Ambiguous Cylinder Illusion, and when you see the picture of it initially, you're like, okay, well, that's Photoshop. The crazy thing is, it's just a guy with a mirror. You'll see, check it out, click on it, it takes a minute, and your mind will be confused, and they don't really explain anything. It just kind of happens and the video's over, and you're left to kind of be like, well, now how did they do that? So it's cool. I just saw it in passing, and I thought, that's what I need to do. And the third and final thing I want to talk about is a YouTube video that came out in 2009. It was, I think, maybe the very first YouTube video I ever watched, and it is called the Fat Dippin' Rap. So anyways, let's do that thing where I show you a clip of Cooper Holm. What is happening?
You shut up too! Don't ever talk to the camera like that, Dave! It's guitar!
Oh, this is so cute. That little guy is actually getting married next week. Crazy stuff. At least the 17th, he'll be getting married here in Lubbock, Texas. Congratulations, little buddy. Anyways, the last thing, what I want to leave you with is, everyone knows Christmas is just around the corner and traditions get real weird sometimes. So here's the game that I want to play. Everyone has a weird Christmas tradition, I think. My family has probably more than some other families, and I don't really know why. I think we just like traditions, maybe. There's one tradition, we play a game called Christmas Balls, where you basically, you get these glass bowls and you put them on the dining table, or in some cases, 2 dining tables, you put them together to make one long table. And you get these little tiny red Christmas ornaments, and you try to bounce them. It's basically like Christmas beer pong. Basically, it usually just ends up being this chaotic mass of people chunking Christmas ornaments at these glass bowls, and lots of noises and screaming happens. It's fun. My wife's family has a tradition of putting a can of black olives in everyone's stocking. To me, that sounds like a weird tradition, but it might not actually be that weird, especially considering some of our traditions are a little bit weird in my family. But I really like black olives, so I'm happy to to carry on that tradition onto my future children in our family as it gets older. So yeah, what are your weird Christmas traditions? I want to read some of them next week when I continue the blog. I'm going to do my best to be more regular like I was initially, but that brings me to another point. Where do you think I should travel next? So yeah, 2 questions actually. First, what are some weird Christmas traditions that you or your family have? And then second, where should we go next? Now let's try to, for this one, let's keep it within the continental US. Some ideas of places that we could drive to or possibly get like a cheaper flight to. I don't want to go, go to Fiji. Yeah, obviously we'd love to go to Fiji, but let's be realistic. Anyways, if you are not already subscribed to my channel, make sure you go ahead and do that. Click the like button down below or over there or something like that. Leave a comment, tell me some things. I'm gonna try and be more consistent with these videos come the future, and until then, thanks, Internet.